as he's coming, probably with each thrust, saying 1 rope, 2 rope, 3 ropes, and so on and so forth. If I have to live with that for the rest of my life, it's gonna be 1 rope, 2 rope, 3 rope, and so on and so forth. Hello, I am alive. I was gonna say I'm alive and well, but no, I'm alive and well. My voice still sounds a little fucking crazy, so you're gonna have to deal with that. But hello, welcome back to Tangent Telephone. How are we doing? Before I get into all of the chaos, subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. Please leave me 5 stars. Gen Alpha is still out to get me on Spotify. Leave a review if you want. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a bonus clips posted on there. Follow the podcast Instagram. Check out the links in the show notes and the YouTube description. Just do all of the things, okay? Because my mic's over here now. I mean, at least in this very moment. I guess I could probably be somewhere else, but I'm gonna kind of be looking this way. Do I need to do that? Probably not. So I missed last week. Actually, technically, you haven't gotten an episode in the last 2 weeks, but I did film an episode last week. I was deathly fucking sick the first or second week of the month. Can't remember, but I went out of town and then literally, I'm not kidding you, as I was getting my bags out of my car to go put on this golf cart where the man was going to drive me to my room, I felt like I was going to die. And I got hit with this sickness that I think has been going around at least LA and OC, and then actually no, in NorCal too. But it kind of sounds like it's the same for everyone. I don't know if it's RSV or what, but it lasts for 2 weeks and it's really bad. Mine actually turned into pneumonia after a couple of days, which is crazy because I was really taking care of myself and doing all of the right things, but no clue. So I think that's why my voice still sounds weird, because it's been, I don't know, 3 weeks now. And since that day, wait, no, it's been 2 weeks since that day. I don't know. I checked into a hotel. I was there for a work thing, but while I was there, I was going to film at least 2 episodes. I was planning on 3 of the podcast, at night after I was done with everything. But I was so sick, I had to be quarantined to my hotel room. And then I left after one night because I couldn't sleep. And I came home and I was just so fucking sick, on my deathbed for, realistically, I was on my deathbed for 4 days, and then I did not feel normal. I mean, I'm still really tired and stuff, but there was a solid 8 to 9 days of active sickness. I didn't see anyone, I don't think, that I can remember, which is crazy. That feels really wild, but I don't know, I didn't want to get anyone sick. And then tonight I was supposed to go to my friend's place and to this, not party, but whatever. But then she texts everyone. She's like, hey, I'm feeling kind of sick. It's just my sinuses. And I don't know, I took Mucinex. It's probably fine. And I'm like, no. You're getting what everyone has, and I'm not coming over. And everyone else in the group chat, I think, also knows about the sickness that's going around. And they were like, yeah, no, we should probably postpone that. It's really bad. It was, I think, extra bad for me. I know actually both of my parents had it at the same time, and they actually recovered before me. But when I got home and after I had recovered a little bit, it had probably, I think I filmed the weekend after that. So I don't know, 6 or 7 days later, 5, 6, 7 days later, I filmed an episode. When I say I got home, I mean to my temporary situation, which I will get into. Oh, so many updates today, but also more of a fun, I mean, we'll get into it. But after I could actually speak, kind of, I swear there's still so much mucus coming out of me. It's not normal. Also, my stomach is making really crazy sounds right now. I mean, it's not my stomach, it's my uterus, but I hope that the mic is not picking those up. Speaking of mics, hopefully this mic sounds better than the one I was using before. They're both really good mics, but I think because I was using a handheld mic, which I do like more in theory, I just be talking with my hands too much for that. So I had to, switch to a mic that I don't, can you hear? I really hope you can't hear my uterus. That would be crazy. Or maybe I can try to catch it on the mic and purposefully next time. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't even read a quote from a book yet. We're kind of just going feral on this episode because I want to, and I think that's also the only way that it's going to happen. So the usual layout is crazy. This is the 4th episode of this season. Calm down. What was I saying? Oh, so I filmed a podcast. It was called Sickcast. I'll still post that. Probably you'll just be getting 2 episodes that week because, oh, there's a fly. Nope, that's a fuzz. Where did you come from? Whoa, it's shaped like a DNA. And it's spinning. Whoa. When I look away from the camera, it turns dark. I hope It's not bad. God, I can't wait to be in the new place. Anyway, back to the podcast I filmed while I was still really sick. I'm also so bummed I couldn't film from the hotel because it was gorgeous, but I mean, I'm more bummed that I couldn't attend the things that I was supposed to be there to attend and like take advantage of that. It sucked. I was like, really? Really? And I drove there and it was like, whatever. Back to the sick cast. I still will post that, but here's the thing. Okay, this podcast comeback, I set it up like I was putting in the bio of the podcast, like the comeback date. I started doing that, I think, in December or maybe even November. And it started as February 1st. But then when I realized, like, oh my God, my Saturn return ends on February 13th, that's when I changed it to that day. That date, that plan was set in stone before my life, like, went up into flames. And the plan was I was already going to be living in my new place, and it was going to be a house with my ex, and I was going to turn one of the rooms into the studio. And that would have been in mid-January. I would have had it ready to go by the time that the podcast came out. But then because of everything that happened, I was like, I simply just cannot bring the podcast back without talking about everything that's going on, or at least like acknowledging that shit is fucked up. Because, you know, like, this is my podcast. It's not like an acting or a modeling job or a writing job or working on my business or really any other job that doesn't require me to talk about my life, like, solely, you know? Because I think Bug is wanting to come inside, and since I'm not at my old house, I do have to open the door for her. False alarm. She likes to just sit there and look at me through the glass, and then I go over there to open it, and she just lays on her back and wants me to pet her. As I was saying, it's not something where it doesn't rely on my life. Also, I am aware that there are podcasts where they're not just talking about their lives. I would say a large majority of them probably, but that's how mine is. And so because I didn't expect to be bringing it back when everything was in the literal middle of hell, I just haven't liked the first 3 episodes of the podcast. I haven't liked them in the sense that, like, they really weren't like feel good or funny or maybe even, I don't know, like, to me, they weren't like interesting in the sense that, like, if I were someone else watching it, would I be interested? I mean, yeah, I guess those of you that have followed me for a long time are, but that's a small percentage. And I don't know, they just like weren't my stunningly charismatic and entertaining personality that we're all used to here. So, you know, even though I filmed like that sick podcast. I don't know. I keep calling it the sick cast because that was going to be the title, and that probably will be the title, but I was kind of less personal, and I just talked about kind of some other things. But instead of posting that this week, I just want to yap, okay? I want to just talk about some things, some thoughts, kind of just go rogue. Also, by go rogue, I mean like get back to our roots here. You know, this could be called Rogue Cast. Why do I feel like that sounds like a podcast that probably already exists? That's the other thing. I like the name of the podcast because it's so all-encompassing, and it's so like no one can be like, she just talks about 1900 different things like this. There's no like nothing is cohesive. Well, yeah, please refer to the title of the podcast that you clicked on. Okay, that's kind of the point. But I don't know. I kind of want to rename it. We've been talking about like different names, shorter ones, whatever. What was my first podcast called? I love how I'm asking you. Oh, it was called, okay, this was in like 2015. Too bad I didn't like keep that going at least a little bit, because then I could be like, yeah, I've had a podcast for, 11 years. But it was called Coffee and Confusion, which was honestly great. And I remember like the intro sound was the sound of like coffee pouring. And it was kind of similar to this, but I was 20 to 22 years old, so probably not. Okay, I'm sorry for the horrible audio change right now, but I just found my old podcast and I take back everything. My voice. Why do women, or at least like I can think of a few examples, I don't want to talk about right now because the sound is horrible, where like around 23, 24, 25, like we hit puberty with our voices. My voice was so high until like 24. So weird. Listen to this.
What's up, friends? Welcome to the first official episode of Coffee and Confusion with me, your host, Annalise. I am so fucking excited for this podcast. Like, I don't think you guys understand. When you get a text and they're talking about like what they're gonna do to you and you're like in the produce section of Target, Like, what do you do in that situation? I specifically remember like sexting a boyfriend that I had in high school when I was maybe 15 or 16. We lived probably 2 miles away. And I just remember the first like quote unquote sext from him said something about like, I wish my dick was 2 miles long so that I could reach you right now. And I just remember being like, wow, that is so sexy. Like, that is so creative. Oh my gosh. Since that situation arose today, I was just like, whoa. Are any of these other people in this target getting sexted right now? Am I the only one? Like,
and then I had my Patreon only podcast called Clitigation, which is honestly a sick name, combining clitoris with litigation. If you are just listening to this podcast, I highly urge you to watch this one. You need to see this right now. And also the clip that I just put in, I put in like a photo of what I looked like at the time. Just, you need to be watching this one, okay? But I could only have so many episodes of that one. But anywho, I didn't plan on talking about this, but just all that to say, like, it's a shitty feeling to not feel good about something that I'm putting out there, but I also really wanted to prove to myself that I could follow through with, a commitment that I had made to the audience and also to myself. I think it's really important, especially if you're someone who kind of like lacks confidence or you doubt yourself, it's really important to like make and maintain habits or even like just like follow through with things for yourself, because it gives you so much confidence in yourself and in your abilities, and it just exponentially grows and grows and gets bigger. And I think that's such an important part of growth in every area. And then on the flip side, when you tell yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, 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 and then you don't follow through, it really, even if you're not consciously aware of it, that type of thing erodes not only your self-esteem, but like it can like sneakily sink you into a bit of a depression, maybe like a functioning depression. But it's just so, and it's so important, and it feels so good when you're like, whoa, I actually have been consistent, or I actually did that thing that I said I was going to do, whatever it is. And I notice in my life a lot of the time, if I'm going through a period and I can't really identify like why I'm feeling a certain way, if I'm kind of in a funk, or if I'm kind of just like, for me, a lot of the times how it will present is I'm sort of just living in anhedonia. I'm like, nothing's overly wrong. I'm not like miserably depressed. I'm not overly anxious, but I'm like, something's a little weird. Sorry for that tangent, but also, once again, not sorry. Did you see the title? See, that's why it's like I gotta just keep it. I could change it to just be tangent cast. I've thought about that. Because the telephone part makes sense in my brain, but like the other thing though is that hello, I was gonna say at the end of this that I still do have the phone number. I've had it for the 2 years that I was gone, where you can call in and leave a voicemail. And I used to do at the end of the episode. I've been doing this with my hand this whole time. Not really necessary. What if I had to do this for the whole podcast because of the title? But since I'm thinking about it now, see, tangent telephone is kind of perfect because it had such a double meaning. In that at the end, I would listen to the voicemails and give advice or whatever, stories or whatever. And then it also had the meaning of like, it's the game of telephone where it starts with a word and then you end up with something totally different. I think on the first episode, the example I gave was when I was little and I was at church and we played, and it started with Jesus and then ended up with cheese. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to start with one topic, but then just see kind of where we end up at the end. So for that reason, I think the title is perfect. But on the basis of like, I don't know, SEO and like someone seeing it and being like, oh, I understand what that is. Not the best. Not the best. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I don't think anyone's probably too tied to the name at this point because I took such a long break. But also the thing that I like about this, which I kind of have forgotten for the past, 3 episodes, not forgotten, but kind of was like forced to stray from this method of, in editing a YouTube video, depending on what the video is, it is so stressful because bitch, I talk so much. My clips are so long, and like I used to do vlogs, and so, and maybe ends up being a 20-minute vlog, but I don't know, 6 hours of footage went into that, and most of it was just like obviously not usable, or like maybe I accidentally left the camera running while I was doing something. And I really like that for this podcast. I remember it just, when I used to edit it, it was so much easier. Like it was so easy. I could almost just like press play and listen and make sure everything was okay, and like, yeah, cut out some chunks of emptiness, but like I wasn't worried like, oh, does this go together? Because no, like that's the point. But for the past few weeks, I've been having to be careful with how I talk, obviously because of the subjects that I was talking about. And I don't know, it took me so long to edit the first 3 episodes. I cannot even stress to you enough. It was nuts. I miss kind of like, did that go together? No, not really, but I'm going to leave it like that because that's just what this podcast is. So, like I said, I kind of just want to yap this week. And then with next week, actually, it was going to be today, but it's the friend that's sick. Actually, it was going to be a few days ago, but then I ended up going out for my friend's birthday. It was a whole thing, but long story short, I'm going to be filming next week if she's better with my friend, and we're going to do something really fun for the podcast. It's going to be interesting because I will be like quite literally in the middle of my move at that time. Yes, you heard my words, okay? But it's fine. I plan to have like 4 days of movers, and my dad's gonna come mostly for emotional support. What I've done like the past few times that I've moved is just get movers and have them literally do everything. Because being someone that moves quite often and has a lot of stuff, though I will say I have donated. Oh my God, it has felt so good. I've had people come and pick up donations. I think I've had like 9 pickups in the last week, and I've gotten rid of so much stuff, but like it's still gonna be a lot. But yes, to close that explanation, I guess I just would like to bring the vibes back up before the vibes perish. That being said, this is actually not a sad update or anything. It's good. Like I just said, I'll be moving. I found a place that I'm going to be moving into very soon. I'm very excited to be settled and nesting, if you will. Also, to have a room that's going to be just the podcast room is going to be very exciting. And then decorating another room that I'm excited about. And I don't know, just I'm getting rid of like both couches that I have, and like I have this big beanbag chair. Like any furniture aside from, I don't know, like entertainment center drawers, shit like that, I'm mostly gonna just get rid of. Obviously donate, or yeah, it's gonna have to be donated. I don't want to spend time selling things. Because I just don't want to bring any possible bad energy into the new place. So, but I'm so excited to be settled in, Do you want to come in now? Good God. Now she is in here. You're gonna have to either sit on me or come up here. Come up here. Come here. Guys, check the limited 2 sweatshirt. Did you know that they brought limited 2 back? I was not aware until I had to get like a specific pair of pants for something, and I just so happened to see that limited 2, well, no, they were at Kohl's, which I didn't even know existed still. I don't even know if I've ever been to a Kohl's, but they sell limited 2 there, and it's like very cheap. And I don't know if it's for girls. No, because I think this is size small, so that would be, I don't know. Come up here. Put this blanket on my lap so she'll come up here. Come here, mama. Did you throw up on my phone in the middle of the night, and then I woke up and grabbed my phone to turn off my alarm, and it was wet and chunky? Yes, you did. Come here, hon. Come here. Yep, kitty ASMR. You could have your own podcast with how much you talk, huh? Okay, so as I was saying, I'll be moving. Oh, she making biscuits up in here, up in here. So moving soon. Other update is as far as the legal things go that I've been talking about. Something big is happening in a couple days, actually, which I was gonna say exciting. It's not that it's exciting. It's that it was so not only tedious, but draining and like emotionally taxing and so difficult, especially because I was not on a timeline, because technically I could have done this at any time in like the next, I don't know, 2 years or whatever, but like I wanted to get it done and be done having to go through and just deal with things once again before I move, and also just as soon as possible. It was hard knowing that like, okay, I told myself that every day I'm going to work on this for X amount of time, whatever, and just having a pit in my stomach most of the time because doing that activity was dreadful. And yeah, I'm also amidst a federal case. Well, actually, I'll talk about that later because it's actually kind of interesting. And I didn't even know it was going on until the FBI contacted me, and I was like, well, this ain't my first rodeo, so whatever. Anywho, once again, I don't want the vibes to perish, so I'm gonna shut up about that. Oh, I have an exciting and special announcement that I'm going to make next week, I believe. If not next week, the week after. Maybe the week after. I might just film it today and throw it at the beginning of next week's episode, but I have a special and exciting announcement that I want to share. I might honestly only share it on the podcast and just kind of see how that goes. I don't know. You might get a double episode, which honestly you are deserved because of my goddamn pneumonia. That is gone now, but I didn't take any medication the whole time, but I will say, like I said, mucus is not my friend, but has been in my vicinity, in my city. London is my city. No, England is my city. That is one thing. I will have to edit this podcast a lot because I keep coughing. So now that I've made it through, I guess what you would call the intro, and in doing that, I've had to restart my camera 3 times. I figured I would look at my phone notes because something that I used to do on here, and also this was something that I did long before the podcast. I have a million notes on my phone. Some of them have been going for a long time and I continuously update them. I have a daily note and with like timestamps because I have crippling ADHD. I have what I need to get done for work this week. I have admin this week. And then I have folders of all kinds of things. But one thing that I have and that I do is I have a note, and I usually change it like every week unless there's not that many things in it, where I just throughout the day, whenever it happens, if I have a certain thought and it's something that I want to like look into, or it's like an interesting enough thought that I'm like, I want to bring this up with my friends or my family or whoever, just like, I wonder if you can hear her purring this whole time, and I wonder if that's annoying or calming. I mean, I'm sure it's calming, like if it weren't also for me speaking, but that's a little this is a weird juxtaposition dichotomy that we have going on here. So yeah, I always just like, sometimes it's just like a funny thought that I have. I would say that most of the time it's like, ooh, I need to remind myself to look into this, because as you know, my fucking favorite thing is just to learn things. And I think because I'm very curious about things, and if I don't know the answer to something, I'm like, that's weird. Why don't I know that? Let me learn about that. So we're going to go through my phone notes. I guess I can do it on my computer, actually. And I'm going to read through some of the thoughts that I had in the last week or so. Thoughts are just, a lot of the times too, it'll be like 2 words, and I'll be like, what is the University of Kentucky Fried Chicken? That was a horrible example, but you know what I mean. The first thing that I have, okay, this is what it says, okay? And then I'll explain. It says, ick, coming and counting ropes. Allow me to elaborate. In fact, this is more than an ick. Like, an ick is usually like, it's not that serious. Well, no, this is more than an ick. Either way, I don't like it. When a man is coming, well, you know what? I don't even want to generalize it like that because I don't know how many people do this. I don't know if it's common practice. I don't know if this is a common thing. I will say, I do believe it was the first time that I had encountered it, which leads me to believe it's not common. A guy is coming, and as he's coming, he is like probably with each thrust, couldn't really tell you, saying, oh, it's like, I said, I wish I could just like play the audio of what it sounded like. There is no audio. This was not filmed or recorded. But as he's coming, he's saying 1 rope, 2 rope, 3 ropes, 4 ropes, and so on and so forth. And in the moment, being like, what is he? And then afterwards realizing he was saying rope, and then being like, who refers to it as ropes? You know, I don't even want to go deeper into that. I would just like to leave it there and say I don't enjoy that. And that is, I think that has to be more than an ick. I don't care that you're hot and funny and whatever else. Like, I mean, I can't live without the rest of my life. Are you kidding me? If I have to live with that for the rest of my life, it's going to be 1 rope, 2 rope, 3 rope, and so on and so forth. Just kidding. No one call a fucking wellness check. I hate when people do that on the internet. Like, stop. I was literally kidding. The next thing I wrote down is police stations all smell the same. It's true. Well, I will say there's a certain one in LA that smells like really sour all the time, but I think that's because of where it's located. I shouldn't know this, but I do. Next, okay, it's funny because all I wrote was speculum, but I know exactly what. Can you hear that? I don't like that the building that I'm in right now, I can like hear above neighbors because I'm not used to that. That better not be a shower. Anywho, I wrote speculum, and it's just because I was thinking about the fact that speculums were probably invented in the fucking, realistically, probably like the early 1900s. I don't know. And the fact that they're still the same. But then I actually looked this one up in the moment, and I found 2 things that actually, well, I wasn't aware of one of them. One of them is FDA approves at-home collection device for cervical cancer screening. And this was in 2025, so I guess recent, but you can do it at home. It's called the Teal Wand. 98% the results were the same as those from clinician collected samples. It's obviously more narrow. It almost looks like a suppository for like if you ever put boric acid in your vagina, or probably like a yeast infection thing. I don't know. It looks a lot smaller in the photo. It looks like it's like the width of a tampon, which I don't know though, because how you still have to touch your cervix, and like that's. I mean, yeah, I don't know. All I know is that when I have had a pap smear, it first of all so painful. Second of all, like is that prehistoric speculum still being used? And then the other thing, which I actually did know, is that you don't even need. Well, let me just say, not that you don't need, but there is a different test for HPV that is non-invasive. And I will just say that I highly recommend doing that. And feel free to, on your own time, look into pap smears and, the chemicals involved and how that could potentially actually be causing things. Okay. I'll just let you look into that if you choose. I haven't had a pap smear since I actually think I got one when I was like 26. But I mean, I've also had like several surgeries in and around my uterus, so the next one, okay, that was either a really short shower or someone washing their hands for a long time, and I hope you couldn't hear it, but you might have been able to. The next one is also uterus related, and I'll talk about it next week. The next thing I have is retake the Myers-Briggs test. That was just like a reminder for myself. I would like to retake it. Anytime I took it in the past, I was always an ENFP. I feel like that's probably still true. However, I think I double as an INFP. I don't know. It's complicated. It's one of those things that's hard for me to label. Am I extrovert or introvert? I get energy from being around people, but I also need alone time to recharge massively. And so that's why I've always been like, I'm kind of an ambivert, but I think people confuse like extroverted with outgoing. And so everyone's like, no, you're definitely extroverted. And it's like, well, yes, if I'm out with people, I am typically one of the more outgoing, lively, whatever. But that doesn't necessarily mean that someone's an extrovert. So I don't know. But anytime I take it, I got ENFP since the first time I took it in like high school psychology. So it would be interesting to retake, though. It's not really that important. I'm sure I would still be NFP. Why does I swear to God, okay, I need to get a backup battery for this camera because it's been on for what? I don't know, however long I've been recording, but not that long. And it already starts flashing at me. I'm like, are we kidding? Like, why is this battery such ass? Okay, something else. While I was sick, it was kind of like the end of my sickness where I just had to restart the camera, which means I had to get up, and now I feel like she wants to leave me. You stay here. You stay here with me. It's okay. I just had to get up really quick. It's okay. I have to sneeze. Thank you. Okay, so while I was sick, the season, I don't know what season it is for, of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives came out, and I watched some of it. I don't think I've ever spoken about it, mostly because when it first came out, I think I was already in my podcast break. And also, I'm not really like a TV person at all, but if you don't know, I was raised Mormon. So I thought, I would give my opinion, not even necessarily on like specific things that are going on this season, but just kind of on the show as a whole, because it's interesting to me because it has been so long since I've been around the Mormon culture. Like when I was 17, I went to college, and, even from the age of 12, I had to go to fucking early morning seminary and church and mutual and all that stuff. And I had to, get to school and take off my sweatshirt so that I could wear a tank top, or like take off the pair of longer shorts that were covering my really short shorts or whatever, or like, whatever. I always was wardrobe switching, but I haven't been like immersed in the culture in so long. And also I never lived in Utah. I have a lot of family there. Might be surprising to you, but my mom is the oldest of 10 kids. My dad has 5 other siblings. A lot of them are in Utah, and I did go to Utah a lot growing up. But the show is interesting to me because it just seems a lot different than it was when I was growing up. Like, the dirty soda thing is such a big thing, but for me, like, I was not allowed to drink caffeine at all. Now, like, I know that's changed, like, because I know, like, my mom will drink, like, matcha and whatever, but still, like, not coffee. Even, like, something that I don't think I knew this, but church is now only 2 hours? Hello? I'm sorry. Why could they have not changed that, like, when I was having to go to church? Because holy shit, 3 hours of church and then, like, usually having to stay after for something else. Not to mention, seminary every day in high school and youth group once a week for however many fucking years. But things are just so different, and I don't know if it is different in Utah versus other places. You would think it would be like more strict in Utah, but to me, at least the way that the girls are on the show, they're all wearing clothes that you can't wear garments with. I know some of them aren't LDS anymore, but it's like I'm confused. I wonder if, and I do remember like when I would go to EFY, for example, which if you don't know, it's my fucking battery's gonna die. I'm so mad. I don't want to have to finish this later. It's in Utah. You go when you're like, actually, it's probably everywhere, but I would go to Utah. But it doesn't matter. Long story short, I remember like my friends in Utah would like be able to wear bikinis, and I was like, that is weird. Like my Mormon friends in Utah, but like I don't know if it's changed with time or if it just is the fact that they're in Utah. But it seems so much different than like the LDS culture that I am familiar with. It was so much more strict. And like my parents, I wouldn't even, I mean, they were strict, but not anywhere near like some other people that would go to church with us or whatever. The show confuses me in that way. And maybe, I don't know. And they also don't even ever like, I don't think they've ever showed them going to church, or it's really just not focused on that whatsoever. So I do think it's kind of an interesting name for the show. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait, but it's really not about LDS culture at all. I don't know. I don't know. I had a different thought going into talking about this than what just came out, but we might have to pick this up later because my camera's flashing. And honestly, I really want to fucking upload an episode. So I might just end it here and catch you back for a second episode this week because I don't want to make you wait. But I do have to be somewhere, which means that I can't continue recording today. I had like so much more to talk about, you guys, and I still have so many thoughts on the Mormon wives, but stay tuned. I also didn't read from a book today, but what are you gonna do? I need to add to my notes, get another camera battery, apparently, and fuck it, yeah, we'll end it here for today. Peace and blessings.